Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the do's and don'ts of agile transformation. How many of you are involved or have ever been involved in some form of agile transformation? Great stuff. So some of this hopefully will resonate with you, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to get a few things from this as well. Now, since we're going to be together for the next 30 minutes or so, would it be okay if I quickly introduce myself and told you a little bit about who I am? Would that be okay? Awesome. So my name is Ade Shokoya. That's my background. Started off as a business analyst and then progressed up to the point now I'm Agile coach and consultant. I work with large organizations to help them to go through enterprise agile transformation. I am also the author of Waterfall to Agile, Practical Guide to Agile Transitions, and the founder of Agile TV. But the biggest thing for me is that I am blessed and fortunate to be able to not only just speak at conferences around the world, but to keep learning in this space. How many of you recognize that there's so much to learn in the Agile space? Right? It's constant learning, and that's really good. So that's just a little bit about my background. So the first thing that I want to look at is the difference between a transformation and transition. Now, who wants to offer what you might think the difference might be? Anybody want to take a shot? So when we talk about transition, it's typically where you might have an organization who wants to change its practices to working in a different way. It's really just about practice focus. It's moving from one state to another. How many of you have been in organizations where it's like, okay, we're going to have a meeting and we're just going to call it a stand-up? Yeah, and that makes us agile, right? Or we're going to bring in a couple of practices and, do some pair programming and everything else, but we're going to keep the command and control and do all the other stuff, but we're agile. You know what I'm talking about there, okay? That's what we might refer to as a transition. Transformation in this context will be when an organization takes the time to look at itself and says, oh, actually, our values and principles may not enable us to become really agile. And actually, our desired end goal is to become an agile organization, which then means that it requires unpacking the organization culture, the way that stuff's done, the way that management manages, even it might be even down to actually how do we manage the budgets and the financing. It's like the whole nine. That's what we call transformation. Now, here's the point to get from it. Transition is not necessarily a bad thing. Here's why. Guess where most transformations start? In the transition stage. A lot of my clients go through that process, which is, oh, actually, you know what? We want to become an agile organization, and based on our understanding, we've just got to swap a few things, right? We really don't want to put in the effort. But those that really get engaged in the process and start looking at it from a return on investment or return on teams, whatever kind of metrics you want to look at, will start analyzing and saying, oh, actually, you know what? Maybe we need to change the way that we actually communicate with each other. Maybe we want to change things like language we use, like calling people resources. Don't worry, we'll come to that a bit later, right? Maybe we want to change the way that we, remunerate people, all of that great stuff. And so therefore, my question to you would be, in your organizations, where are you? Are you in a transition state? Are you in a transformation state? Is your transition taking you towards a transformation? Or is the transition the end goal? And the reality is fine. Either which way is fine. It's just very important to know exactly what you're doing, because guess what? That feeds into your strategy. Now, this is the world's tallest waterfall in the world, right? Because it started off with the world, so that's fine. It's too early. This is what happens when you get the early gigs, right? Coffee doesn't kick in time. That's fine, right? It's a 3,230 drop, and it's a 2,647 uninterrupted drop. Now, here's a little confession about me. I am scared of heights. So to me, that is like, whoa, right? I even have problems flying, okay? It's out there. I put it out there, transparency. I have problems flying, but I'm scared of heights. But that is a big drop. So my question to you simply is this. Are you already falling into agile? See all the time. We get into organizations like, okay, yeah, we want to do agile. Okay, great. So we're operating in a volatile, uncertainty, complexity, all the other stuff. Okay, we get that, right? Yeah, but we're going to have a structured plan, with very clear timelines about when we're going to be able to become agile. Like, whoa, but this is a lot of uncertainty here. I think it was Einstein who said you cannot fix a problem on the same level of thinking that created the problem. So then really the question is, how do you take a waterfall approach to creating agility which is intended to replace the waterfall mindset? It's not going to happen. Well, it's going to be really hard. I've seen it many, many times with many, many clients. They struggle very much with that because guess what they're looking for with agile transformation? They want certainty. Dates. Need to know exactly when we're going to get to agile level maturity 2. We're going to need to know exactly when teams are going to be able to sprint without us changing anything else, without us even looking at the context or whether we're actually setting ourselves up for a transition or transformation. Hey, we're going to put it down on paper and we're going to make it work. How many of you think it works that way? Awesome. So I'm going to ask you to turn to your partner and discuss what you think might be some of the potential implications of trying to use a waterfall approach to doing an agile transformation. So go ahead, take 2 minutes, a minute each to discuss that with your partner now. Swap over, 1 minute left. Start wrapping up. And stop. Okay, so anybody want to share what you came up with? Anybody want to share? Oh, I think we have, yes. It is. It's hard. At the end of the day, we're talking about human beings and we're talking about uncertainty, and sometimes we're talking about multi-millions, multi-billion-dollar industries or organizations. So there's a lot of risk. So it's hard. So the human element that comes into play around all of this, right? And our cognitive biases and our fears and all the other great stuff kicks in. Even though we mentally know maybe we should do things differently. But it's hard. That's the challenge. Okay? So these things can be challenging. Thank you. How many of you have ever seen this symbol before? Yin Yang, right? So it's based on the concept of dualities, that with some things in life you need to have another thing just for that thing to exist. So what do I mean by that? So let's look at, in order for you to have code, what do you need? Pardon? No, so in terms of the dual aspect, so the opposites that create the actual thing. So in order for there to be a concept of code, what else would there need to be a concept of? Pardon? An ID? Hot. Maybe it's, I'm losing in translation, hot. So in order for duality, in order for there to be code, there needs to be a hot. Because if you don't have hot, then there's no concept of code. Does everyone get what I'm saying? Yeah? Okay. So in order for you to have night, what else would you need to have? Pardon? Day, great. I'm glad you guys got that one. I've asked that question before. I've asked that question before I got like darkness. There's some places in the world where you don't need it. Okay, so let's try one more. In order for you to have wet, you need to also have dry. Awesome, great stuff. So the question I always ask my clients when I go into organizations, they have this concept of IT and business. How many of you exist in organizations who split themselves like that? To me, I call that schizophrenia. Guess why? IT and business exist for the same purpose, right? To help the organization complete an end goal. That's it. They're two sides of the same coin. So, with lots of organizations, and I've got a client right now, that's the big challenge. It's like, oh, that's IT. IT are doing that. Oh, we're the business. It's like, whoa. We're trying to create a whole kind of vision where we all move towards helping the organizations to survive. But yet we still have that infighting. And here's what we see sometimes. So my question to you is this. If you're split that way, are your IT and business in the same journey? Lots of clients are like, no, we're going to start the Agile transformation with IT first. We're going to leave business. It's like, well, how do you do that? Like, we need business to be able to make this work. Because ultimately, we exist as a whole to be able to fill the needs of the organization. And guess what? IT enables business, and business provides IT with a direction. So how are you going to split the two? Okay? And so, a lot of the conversations now are getting organizations to start thinking in terms of that. Because what happens, and see it time and time again, is one part of the organization goes off on a run, the rest of the organization says, okay, that's not about us, that's for them to do. And that's going to have some impacts. If you don't feel it early, you're going to feel it at some point. Okay? So I'd like you to just think about that. Are your IT and business on the same journey? If not, what would it take and what could you do to help them go onto that same journey so we start thinking collectively as one piece? Now, this is just a personal thing for me what I'm about to share with you, okay? It's not something that you really need to take on board, but I would ask and boldly request and encourage you to take this on board. So here's what I'm talking about. How many of you use the term resources to refer to human beings? By a show of hands. Okay, great stuff. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I see, personally, a resource, okay? How many of you can hear it screaming? Nah? Okay, great stuff. So what do you think happens when we start talking and treating people as resources? What do you think the implications or the impact is on human beings? I see it all the time. Oh, yeah, it's a resource. Actually, I've got some clients, they have numbers for people. They don't even have names. It's just like a spreadsheet. It's a number. Okay? Oh, yeah, so-and-so. We need a skill set in Berlin. Oh, yeah, they've got it. Yeah, put them over there. Hey, yay, we did it. But we don't realize that poor person's got a family, okay, where they live. We heard before in the earlier talk about the implications when we tell people work late, you have to do this. People have got families. How many of you got families, by show of hands? Okay, just checking. All right, so it's normal everywhere. Every country I go, people have families. It's like weird, right? Everyone has families, no matter where you go. But then we treat people like resources. In the work that I do, I get to see the flip side of that. I get people coming to me saying, Ade, I'm about to go for a divorce because I've just been working really hard on this project. I've got like 5 or 6 projects to work on. I'm not getting any support. They're just asking me to do more. How many of you know what I'm talking about there when people get overloaded with work? Right, people get burnt out. They get stressed. Oh, Ade, I can't go to my son's football game because I'm working really late. Or I'm missing my daughter's place because that's human beings. That has a wide impact on society. So I encourage people, just generally, to talk about people as people, not resources. The worst case scenario I saw of this was when I was working with a client. They based in the UK and they had a team that was based in India. There was a big time difference, so guess what? The cross-functional thing wasn't really working. And then somebody came out with a really great idea. Guess what the idea was? Pardon? Yeah, they made India switch times. India had to work UK times. So guess what that meant? When we're finishing some of our meetings at 5, 6 o'clock, hey guys, hey, what are you going to do now? Oh, we're going to try and get home. Oh, what time is it? Oh, it's about 11:30 at night. Whoa. So in effect, we had young ladies who were traveling late at night, maybe 2.5 hours just to get home, just because somebody had decided on a spreadsheet that it made sense. Because it's a resource, right? Hey, they've got no feelings. But that's people's lives. That's people's safety. So I just encourage you, and a lot of my clients right now, and a lot of organizations work with, they get rid of the word of human resources. They use things like people and capability or skills pool or whatever, just to remind them that actually, you know what, we're talking about human beings. Okay? Ran over. That's just my piece around that. But the question on this is this. At what point, if you do have a human resources department, people and talent, or whatever you want to call it, at what point are you engaging them? Guess the one thing that I have found is consistent across every continent and every client that I've worked with when it comes to doing transformation. Guess what keeps on popping up? People. They're always involved in it. I always say that agile transformations would be awesome and would be so easy. In fact, we could automate them if it wasn't for the people. But guess what? It's all about the people. So, it's important that you engage HR. How many of you have anything like labor unions? You have a work council in Germany, right? Yeah? I hear the work council is very powerful out here. I've had a few clients out in Germany. It's like we made a few changes to some systems, and they're like, oh, we can't deploy that yet because we have to engage the work council. I'm like, wow, these guys are powerful. I should be on their team. Right? It's like these guys decide everything. Okay? But it's important to start thinking about engaging your people element in the process very early. This is going to be fundamental. Because whatever agile transformation you're going for, even a transition, you're still going to need to get people's buy-in. And you need to bring people along that journey. So I encourage you to engage people in that journey very early on. Okay. Can I have 8 volunteers, please? Awesome. Thank you very much. If you just come up to the stage, you volunteers, you leaders, lovely people, awesome. We've got 3. We're looking for 5 more. Awesome. Thank you. Right. Yeah, awesome. Thank you, guys. We haven't got much left, so just awesome pile up. So here's what we're going to do. Have you guys ever heard of this game called Chinese Whisper? Yeah? Okay. I'm sure this is going to work. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say something to you. I'm going to whisper it to you. Okay? And your job is then to whisper it on, and then we'll see what we get at the end. Okay? It's going to be awesome. It always works out. Okay, so here's what it is.
You're smart.
Yeah, way.
Remember the keynote. Maybe we should count to 60 and breathe first.
I don't even know what's going to come out at the end of this. Now I want to know what's going to come out. Just do your best with what she gave you, Kevin. It's fine.
Yes, please.
There you go.
I love it though. It's always started with you like, wait, what?
Okay.
I know what Cheetos are, but
Do you love rice or Cheetos? Okay, that was actually not too bad. It was quite close. So first of all, please give everyone a round of applause. Thank you very much. So what I said to Jad was, jollof rice tastes better with shito. Now, jollof rice is a West Indian dish. I'm from Nigeria, and we eat jollof rice. Shito is from Ghana, and it's just a piece of pepper that you put with it. But you didn't know what it was, right? Okay, so ask yourself this. What's your comm strategy around your agile transformation? Are you bringing people on the journey? Are you communicating stuff to them clearly? Because guess what? If they don't understand what's going on, they're going to tell their own story. And guess what? In the absence of information and the real facts, that story is likely going to be, whoa, this thing is going to bring us all down. So how many times do you think people are going to get involved with something that they think is detrimental to them? It's people, right? So it's important to have a common strategy in place. Keep on sending out that message. Because if you don't send out that message, somebody else will, and you will have no control over that message or the impact of it. I've got not long left, so we're going to quickly get through this. So I've got young boys. I've got 3 boys, 8, 5, and 4. The youngest, we call him the boss baby. How many of you seen Boss Baby? Yeah, because he calls himself, I'm the boss baby, right? He's just in charge of stuff. He runs houses, right? And he changed my whole life and our marriage life. How many of you got kids and know what that happens, right? Kids come along, okay? Now, the question really around that one is, who are the change influencers in your company? I'm going to have to go quickly because we haven't got much time. Who are the change influencers in your company? Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Tipping Point, talks about the law of the few. He talks about the connectors, the people who know lots of people and bring social circles together. He talks about the mavens, so those are the people who go out and get knowledge and bring them back, which would most probably be most of you, right? That's why you're here. Okay, and then the salespeople, the people who have the ability to use their charismatic skills and negotiation skills to bring people on the journey. Start asking yourself, who are the people in your organization? Line them up, bring them on this journey with you, because they're going to be very key to making it stick. We're not going to have time for that. How many of you are Game of Thrones fans? Yeah, love Game of Thrones. Looking forward to winter coming next year. It's going to be awesome, right? In this particular scene, the Viper, he's fighting the mountain. For those of you who haven't seen it in effect, the Viper's like this really cool. He's actually agile, right? He's just like really cool. He can move. He can do some crazy stuff. That's the Viper there in the brown, okay? Fighting the mountain. He's kind of really, kind of big guy. And the Viper is a champion. But in the end, guess what? He gets killed. It's like, whoa. How many of you saw that episode? It's like, oh my gosh, at the end of it, I was like, what? What happened? Like, really? That's Game of Thrones for you. So my question is, how does your company go about picking its agile champions? I've had clients who've had people who's like, here's the agile champion, he's going to be responsible for the agile rollout. And guess the first thing they've said to me is this: can we sit down for 20 minutes so you can tell me what agile is so I understand what I'm supposed to be championing? That might not be the best person for your agile championship because they don't even get it. They're treating it with a waterfall mindset. Oh, okay, now I get it. Okay, right. You, this is what you need to do. Like, whoa, no, that's not really how it works. So you might want to ask yourself how you're choosing your agile champions. Bananas, awesome things to measure, right? But the question is, in your organization, what are you measuring? And are you measuring the right things? Because guess what? You're going to get what you measure. Yeah? Are you measuring how many hours spent? Guess what? If you get people to fill in a timesheet, they will show you that they spent 8 hours or 9 hours or 10 hours, whatever you need, they'll put it on there. But should you be measuring that or should you be measuring value? Actually, what's the value that's created? Not worried about how long and how many hours, but show me the value. What about bugs? That's another one. Number of bugs captured. We're going to reward you for the number of bugs captured. Guess what teams would do? They find more bugs. It's like, whoa, of course. Okay? Maybe we should be measuring uptime in a live environment. What percentage of the time does it stay up? I like to focus more on the positive, right? Uptime versus downtime, but whatever. Once again, align it to value. What are you measuring? You're going to get what you measure, so measure the right things. Next one is about internal capabilities. How are you going about ensuring that the new knowledge that you're going to get as part of transformation stays within your organization? I'm not cheap, and guess what I do with my clients? My goal is to get myself out of there as quickly as possible. Why? Because the longer I'm there, it means that something's not right. If I'm still constantly there after many years, right, there's something that I haven't done to enable the organization to be empowered to be able to get on with it without itself. So do you have an internal capability strategy in place? Are you thinking long term, or are you just bringing in outside consultants and contractors and other people to do this for you? That's going to cost you a bomb over time. So start thinking long term. What's our exec strategy? What do we want to look like in the end of this? And once again, that goes back to that original question. Do we really want this to be a transformation or a transition? Okay? And the final one. This guy looks like it's going to hurt, right? How many of you look like you can see what I'm saying there? Looks like he's going to hurt himself. My question to you is, are you scaling too early? I see in lots of organizations. It's like, whoa, we've got one team running. Yay, great, let's get 30 more. Like, whoa, slow down. The first team is an experiment. No, it's not an experiment anymore, it's running. No, we still need to learn what this means in your context. No. Let's do Nexus, let's do scale that. Let's do everything. Like, whoa, if you scale too early, guess what you're going to see? If you've got a dysfunctional team and you start scaling everything you've learned, or everything that's present within that dysfunctional team and you start scaling that, guess what you're going to get? A whole heap of dysfunction. And guess what? It's going to cost you a whole heap more money, time, effort, and energy to unpack that. So actually, sometimes it's better to be able to just wait, run those experiments, create the right environment to enable those teams to be able to grow, play around all the different variables that are involved in complex adaptive systems to be able to understand how it might work, then ramp it up slowly again to see, actually, when I go from 1 to 2, does that have an impact on the system? When I go to 2 to 4, does that have an impact on the system? Okay, now we might be able to scale up because we're seeing some patterns. But what I see is it's like for a lot of organizations, it's a race. Oh, we got to, my one's better than your one, so therefore I'm going to scale quickly. Yay, I'm scaled up. Hey, we've got 40 teams dysfunctioning. We're lovely. It's just something that I would ask you to consider. Usually I leave time for questions, but I've just got the time. Your time is over. Still managed to get it in time box. I will be around for today. So if you do have any questions, just do feel free to pop over. Okay? I hope that was a useful investment of your time, and I hope you got some things. And I hope you also can see how all of those different variables are connected. So I wish you well in your agile transformation journeys, and feel free to reach out if I can help with anything. Thank you.